All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching us. Remember, you're watching this platform, Verse Strange 256, Amanya Bampita Simple MC. Mu kiro ekyakeesezza olunaku olwaleero, Robert Kyagulanyi Center Bobi Wine abaddeko mu town hall meeting emu, and guess what? Very many were surprised okubanga omu ku bantu ababadde bamuhostinze yabadde mutabani wa former presidential candidate era nga senkagale wa FDC, yaliko senkagale wa FDC, retired Dr. Kano Kiza Besigye. Basebo ne banyabo ensisinkana yabadde olunaku lw'ejjo era bawayizaamu n'amubuuza ebibuuzo n'abiddamu, ensonga lwaki nzize okulaga exactly what happened n'ebyo by'otaasobodde kulaba olunaku lw'ejjo. Bobi Wine we yabadde ali mu kwadressinga abayizi abamu ku ssettendekero erimu mu ggwanga lya America. Katukomewo.
I'm not their boss, you know, but over time, of course, when he abolished the Electoral Commission, I questioned.
Recently, when he dismissed democracy, I was so heartbroken. And it reminds me of Museveni's great quote. Africa's problem are leaders. Africa's problem in general, and Uganda's problem in particular, are leaders that overstay in power. When a leader becomes all-powerful, then he's governing on his own behalf and not behalf of the people. Then the people become his subjects. They cease to be citizens, they become subjects. And that should not be anywhere in Africa or the world in 2026. So for me,
I think that any leader, and I won't be there, I know you're trying to be careful, I won't be careful because I hate to be politically correct.
I would rather say it the way it is, that any leader, regardless of how sweet the words they use, should be answerable to the people. I believe in servant leadership. And anybody that governs with a gun is an oppressor. How else are people going to check him? How are they going to question him? You know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts, absolutely. That is how Museveni began. That is how all these other, that's how Robert Mugabe began. I was named after Robert Mugabe, you know, because he was a great revolutionary. By the time I was born, by the time he passed away, he was a despised tyrant. Now I can imagine how it's going to be 5, 10, 20 years from now in Burkina Faso. I mean, Burkinabés produced Traoré. That means there are millions of Traorés in Burkina Faso. Let them be inspired by him, but let him set a good precedent where leaders are questioned by the people, are answerable to the people, and are governing according to the interests of the people. But most importantly, leaders should be subjected to the interests of the people so that people can vote you in and vote you out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. There's a lot there in what you said. I guess I just want to ask one follow-up question, which is, you know, I think I've noticed, I don't know if you've also noticed, in Kampala, in lots of parts of Uganda actually, nowadays, you know, I'm always watching what people put on like matatus, like the images they put on matatus. Nowadays you see a lot of images of like Idi Amin, Gaddafi on matatus, Mugabe even, you know, I saw a Duka also named after Mugabe. So why do you think people are now kind of reevaluating or finding something, interesting or inspiring in these figures who we look at as, you know, this problematic thing from the past or something?
Well, that's an interesting one. You see, I grew up, I was not born in the days of Idi Amin, but I know he was a brutal dictator, also I'm told. However, I also know that many of the roads and many hospitals and schools were built by Idi Amin. I also know that under Idi Amin, there was a crackdown on corruption. You cannot find Idi Amin's son or daughter or grandchild as a tycoon I know that Uganda House here in New York was bought for Uganda by Idi Amin and all that. That is not in any way to wrap away the brutality that he meted on Ugandans. But I believe that people tend to romanticize the dictators of yesteryears because the current dictators are making the former dictators look like angels. I mean, Museveni is making Idi Amin look like an angel. Idi Amin ruled over Uganda for only 8 years. For all the wrongs that he did, Idi Amin was uneducated. Idi Amin did that for 8 years. Museveni has killed Ugandans for 40 years and counting. There are, in my view, and I could be wrong, there are productive dictators and there are failed dictators. Museveni is a failed dictator because besides the brutality, the corruption is at levels it has never been before. It has only been destruction. So, and this is to warn us, if I or anybody from your generation was to become president and you behave like Museveni or worse, you would make him look like an angel. So that should teach us. I don't know if I'm...
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know, I mean, I always find it so strange. But I guess I want to ask another question related to something that you talked about, which is the Red Beret. I guess I'm curious to know, what place you think aesthetics have in political struggle, specifically in Africa, because, from the very beginning, People Power and NUP has been very, I think, brilliant in how it uses aesthetics, how you've been able to use the color red, the formations, the different ways that you've been able to use social media as well to project certain images and to use these references or aesthetics of like other revolutionary struggles, other popular struggles to animate your movement. So I'm curious to, and also of course music, right? Music being the other big one. So I'm curious to know how you think about the relationship between aesthetics and politics in contemporary African politics and what role aesthetics has in that,
Thank you. I'm an artist. Did you tell them I'm a musician? A good one. I'm an artist, and maybe that's where art comes in handy. We read history and we pick the things that inspire us in history. Of course, many people have used this red beret. They have had their mistakes, but there have been great things about them. People like Che Guevara, selflessness and all that. People like Thomas Sankara, unfortunately, or fortunately, he did live so long, so we only know the good things. Many times I imagine if Jesus Christ lived up to 75. So we are able to pick the good things and the artistic things from that. Just like music played a huge role in the struggles, during the days of slavery, during the days of colonialism, during the days of fighting against apartheid, fighting against dictatorships. And today, the same way aesthetics do the same. Now we use this red beret and the style in which we confront the dictatorship. We are non-violent militants. That's why you hear us calling ourselves foot soldiers. We are soldiers, non-violent soldiers. We are fighting non-violently. And the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak communicates as we confront what is wrong. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's one of the most beautiful things about your movement and about our movement is how much great music we have from it. My mom, her favorite song of yours is Chadenga, which everyone should listen to if they have time. It's really good. So okay, I'll just ask some questions from the audience. They submitted some questions in advance, and then we can move into question and answer because I'm sure many of you have your own questions. So, okay, one question from the audience is, basically, how can the international community outside of Uganda contribute to the Ugandan struggle? What can they do besides amplifying your message and advocacy? So what kind of new pressure can be applied on the regime, basically, from people who are sympathizers and people who are outside of the country? And I'd be interested to know, in light especially of the new proposed national sovereignty bill, what you think is still possible.
Yeah, the international community, how can they contribute to our freedom struggle by not contributing to our oppression? You see, dictatorships, all the way from history, have always gotten their strength from the international community. Today, I mean, for decades, Museveni has been getting a lot of money. In the recent years, Museveni was getting up to $1 billion from the US government, so in form of military cooperation and others from the US. But this very money has always been the money that is used to subjugate us. 2018, I had my drive. I was supposed to be a dead man. They shot at my car and killed my driver. They used an American gun. You know, so what we and indeed this, in many ways, has always been turned around on us. For example, when I ran away from death, from back home, I did not go to Kenya or Tanzania, Sudan, or any country nearby, because the dictator in Uganda has his long hand stretched into all these countries. I ended up in America. Unfortunately, the regime propagandists always pulled out their Pan-African card and say, oh, how can you run to the land of the colonialists? How can you go run to the land of imperialists? You're an agent of the imperialists. And yet, in reality, they are the agents of the West. So what we ask of the international community is to stand by the values that they profess, is to not be the support system for the oppression, is to hold the regime in Uganda and other oppressive regimes in Africa and the world to the same standards of other democracies. To know that if what the dictatorship in Uganda is unacceptable according to their values, then they should not be funding it. They have laws that, like the Global Magnitsky, that they can evoke, that they've evoked elsewhere. When Taylor did what Museveni did, he was sanctioned. When Mugabe did what Museveni is doing, he was sanctioned. And all other countries. Why then are they not sanctioning Museveni? They should not put diplomacy above democracy. They should not put business above values. You know, we can relate in terms of trade and all this. If they want our minerals, if they want our wealth, it can be on a moral ground and not in exchange of keeping a dictatorship in power. That has always been our ask. That is our ask to today. I mean, Dr. Byebasiba is in prison. He shouldn't be in prison. You know, there should be questions like that. We have thousands of political prisoners in prison without a crime. Many people are missing. Today, as we speak, the wife of my personal political assistant was abducted and kept in Muhoozi. Muhoozi, for information, is a son of General Museveni, who is the president of Uganda and is the chief of defense forces. He will pick anybody's wife from their home and keep him under his basement for as long as he wants. He kept the wife of my personal assistant for 37 days. There's a young lady who's a TikToker called Blue Tick. Up to now, she was picked up and she's being kept in his basement. He does all this and gets away with it. And the following day, or days later, he's standing in an official picture with either an ambassador from a renowned democracy or a diplomat. I think that's wrong. I think America and the developed world should not be partners in crime with dictators like Museveni. That is our ask. That is what they can do. We are not asking them to come and save us. We're asking them to stop sponsoring our operation and to stop being part of our pain. Or else we see them as partners in crime. Now to the American citizens and citizens of the world, all we ask of them is to keep attention. We appreciate the attention that they give to the world, the attention that they give to Ukraine. I personally went to Ukraine, to see what's happening there. The same attention they give to Ukraine, they should give to Congo. They should give to Uganda. They should give to Sudan. More people are killed in Congo than in Ukraine and Gaza combined. So they should give us attention. They should. I saw people here, our brothers and sisters, the black people in America, with the campaign Black Lives Matter. I wish they would also say African Lives Matter, because I think we matter too. Yeah. So give us your attention. And indeed, that's what brings us here, to seek your attention, to be able to highlight our plight. And if you permit me, I'll also use this opportunity to challenge you, the young people. I mean, Columbia University is an amazing university. For me, from what I've read, I know all these great leaders in Africa and the world have come here. The Kwame Nkrumahs, the Obotes, the Nyereres and others. They've been here. You are the Nyereres of today. You are the Nkrumahs of today. You are our hope. So rise to the occasion. There's a reason why God, if you believe in him or her, there's a reason why God picked you up to bring you here. If you don't utilize that for the benefit of the millions of us that are home, you will be a loss. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. So I just have one more question from from here, and then we can move on to questions and answers. So, this is a question that I guess is a bit more speculative. It's, not necessarily about how we can handle things now, but the question is, how do you plan to handle relationships with international powers in the future, right? So what kind of relationship can Uganda and African countries build with the United States, with the global north, on more equitable terms that don't perpetuate these dictatorships in our countries? Right? How do we renegotiate that relationship with the global north, with international powers?
It will be business, not aid. Yeah, simple as that.
Yeah.
We'll be relating like business partners, like equals. Yeah.
Right. That's great. Okay. Well, very short. So, okay, I guess we can now open to questions and answers. I think we can. We have a lot of time, so we can go one for one. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a question. I mean, just to follow up on the question of African or global north and global south relationships. I mean, it's no mystery that the U.S. has had, and U.S. foreign policy, especially in Africa, has been catastrophic. I mean, they give a lot of money to dictators. They fund a lot of horrible wars. They don't give attention when they need to. So I think my question is I mean, if we talk about Thomas Sankara, we talk about Yusuf Mumba, the CIA killed Mumba, who's a great man and a great leader. Do you think it's simple as just business transitioning from aid to business because they have such indebted roots or colonial roots that is very much propped over by the ideas of racial superiority? How do we in the global south try to, what are the concrete steps we can take, or the leaders can take, to truly come on equal terms and to approach this as you say, as business instead of aid? Because it seems like a lot of people have tried it, and a lot of people have been either killed or pushed apart by the strongmen who act as proxies for imperial interests.
Thank you. That sounds like a pessimist question, a scared question. Man, so many people have tried it and they've been stopped or killed. How is it going to happen? You just don't stop. Many people rose up again. Slavery took 400 years. In those 400 years, many people kept rising and got killed and got stopped until eventually it got stopped. Mandela gave us one beautiful quote: "It always seems impossible until it's done." My view, though, is to create as many people as possible, as many mindsets, people that believe in the same thing as possible, the re-education, as many as possible. One Bobi Wine cannot do it. One Kizza Besigye can't do it. Let us create as many Besigyes as possible, as many Bobi Wines as possible. There will be unstoppable. The problem is that back home in Uganda and largely in Africa, there's always been this Superman syndrome, this liberator syndrome. When one person comes and you believe in that one person, when that one person is corrupted and compromised, it is the end of the story. But if there are many Bobi Wines, if this Bobi Wine before you is compromised or corrupted, the others are going to hold him accountable or kick him the hell out. You know, if there are many of us that will translate into transformation. Yes, when you fight dictatorship, dictatorship fights back. When you fight neocolonialism, neocolonialism fights back. Every evil that you fight, it will fight back. Just prepare a big enough army. That's why I believe in re-educating a population. When that population believes in something, then it will be embedded. There are so many people that dared to, back home we were colonized for a very long time. And many rose and they were stopped until there were so many to be stopped. And that's how it changed. It might take time, but if we don't stop and if we take the right strategy, in my view, is changing the mindset of the people so that so many of us are pointing in the same direction, that will change. That's my thinking.
Hi, thank you. It's a big honor, and I've also written a paper on you. So my question is, we focus a lot on how you get power, but for me, I want to think about the day after because I have confidence in you. And we've seen a lot of youth revolutions around the world, around Africa, Sudan, Senegal, Tunisia, South Africa, but a lot of them have been hijacked. Or even the leaders then turning back and betraying the people who they rose up for at the start. And when we look at how Museveni has kept power, he's done it through a big tent approach that then became small tent, using carrots and sticks. And we see that even if you do manage to win the presidency, and there's still a lot of centers of power that remain. So we have, your economic elites, patronage networks, you have the military, you have global neoliberalism, and even, Muhoozi, you have like ethnic fault lines that people like Muhoozi have. He tweeted once, he kept you in his basement to teach you like Banyahole. So how do you ensure that you have that sort of structures within your movement and in the future that prevent any transformation from being hijacked and even preventing maybe yourself from turning bad, I guess, because not all these people start out as monsters, as you pointed out. Mm-hmm. So what happened down the line, and how do we make sure that doesn't happen?
I like that question. How do we make sure it doesn't happen? And I like you saying, how do we, not how do I? Because I'm not asking you to believe in me. I'm a human being. And I've seen good people go bad. When Museveni was my age, man, he was eloquent. Much more. He was saying the same things, like I'm saying, only more eloquent. So I'm not here to promise you that I am going to be the best leader that there is. No. I can only tell you that it is the people that, and those people, they're not all going to come in a group and hold you accountable, but the institutions, if we empower them. So we don't believe in empowering an individual. We believe in empowering institutions because institutions will outlive human greed and human temptation. And that, for us, in our movement, the People Power Movement, and indeed the National Inter-Platform, the party that I lead, that is what we believe in. We believe in institutionalization. I am accountable to the people that I lead, just like they are accountable to me. We are accountable to each other. But all